Oh, okay. All right. I'll try to remember that then.
Yeah.
All right.
You just went cross-eyed there, Brandon. I saw it.
It's a nice hotel room, Brandon.
What's that?
It's
Motel 6?
Nice
Is
hotel
that
room.
Motel 6?
No, it's nice.
Motel 7? Is that a Motel 5?
6.5.
Welcome to another episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. It is our weekly podcast for collectors. You can find out everything about the show in the link in the description here on YouTube. It is 5idiotstalkingtoys.com. We'll get you to our socials, our merch shop, where you can get yourself a hat, a t-shirt, a mug, support the show. But you can also now go to Patreon and support the show there. We are on patreon.com/5idiotstalkingtoys. And we're going to have some early access videos to our regular episodes. We're going to also have some exclusive content just for Patreon members and also some pre-sales for collectibles that will go up on Rogue 5 Toys. So if you like shopping on rogue5toys.com, that's our collectors page, you're going to get some early access to those items as well by being a Patreon member. So head over there now. The link is in the description of this video. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, we appreciate it. And we will we'll ask you to come over to YouTube as well if you haven't, because we have Wednesday Wins and Whiffs. If you haven't seen those are only on YouTube. Christopher is here. John, Charles, Brandon, and I'm Shane. Welcome to the show. Fellas, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Shane. Thanks for having me on.
Good.
Brandon is coming to us live from a Motel 7. Brandon, how are the accommodations?
Looks like
Motel 5.
It looks like a Howard Johnson's to me, actually.
Howard Johnson's. Do we
Pretty
still
good.
have those?
Pretty
Ooh,
good.
good
Oh,
morning,
you got
Brian.
coffee. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So, Brandon, where are you coming to us from? Is it another event that you're attending?
Undisclosed location. I cannot reveal where I'm at.
Fair enough. He's on a secret mission.
Do you have a booth set up there?
I'm on a secret mission to deliver a special package.
Nice.
Sounds like your typical Saturday night.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are. I'm going to go over now to John Walden. He's down in the deep southern mountains. I don't know if I even have that close to right.
Yeah, no.
He's in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and he's going to tell us what the heck this episode is about. John, clue us in.
John doesn't even know. Look at him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. All right. So we're going to go to the Secretary, Man-at-Arms, Brandon Alamo,
What are we
in your
talking
secret
about?
location. What is this episode about?
No John's left behind.
No, yes.
No John's left behind. He's
Oh,
the vintage.
Okay. I get
All
it.
right. So this is no
old
vintage.
things, no
left
old things
behind.
left behind.
Right.
But what exactly does that
Worn
mean?
out,
What
beat
does
up.
that mean?
Right. Well,
No
you know,
vintage-
the
no
saying
vintage
amongst
left
collectors,
Shane's just
Right.
like, yeah, this is just dumb.
the saying that collectors have used, you know, when they come across a vintage Star Wars figure. I don't know if people say that with other toy lines, but if you're in, in a shop, an antique store with your wife or something, you see a vintage Star Wars figure, you got to scoop it up, right? That's typically what people say.
Can I go first?
Kind of how I interpret that. Charles, you can go first.
I do not follow that mantra. I walk right past the booth. I could care less if there's 50 items left behind. I walk away. Actually, I run away. I don't even walk. I run as fast as I can away from it. I could care less if it's there when I get there and it's there when I leave.
So do you
So
care?
let me ask you.
No,
He doesn't care. What do you
absolutely
mean?
not. I could give one rat's ass if the
happens
Star
if
Wars
it's-
vintage figure is
happens
left
if it's
behind
vintage?
or it's not.
If it's vintage Lego.
Why is it always a rat's ass, though?
Who cares? Who cares if it's there
It's a
at the
gerbil.
end? Who
Gerbil
cares?
size.
Someone else will buy it at some point.
So if you're like
Okay.
away for the weekend with your wife or something, and you pop into this like shop and they got like all kinds of weird stuff, old stuff. You see like a stormtrooper in the glass case with a bunch of other weird, tchotchkes, knickknacks, and the stormtrooper sitting there, for $10. You're not buying that stormtrooper?
Absolutely not. Not even a question. Like, it's 100% no.
I would buy it if it was $10, but it's
Oh,
usually
yeah,
not.
I'd buy that.
But it's usually not $10.
No, it's
If
usually
anything,
$50.
Right.
I'm gonna walk past the stormtrooper. I'm gonna spit at it, and I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah, no, you're right. If you're in an antique shop and you see one like standing there in a case, it's probably, $25, right?
So I was
More than that.
away in
I'm a little
Wildwood. I was away in Wildwood the past few days, and there was a toy store on the boardwalk, which was shocking to see because mostly it's rides, games, food, and stuff like that. So they had a little toy store. So I did go in there, and they actually had vintage Star Wars figures in the glass case. I was completely shocked by it.
Yeah, I
What'd
would
you do?
too.
Did you buy them?
Yeah, I did. That's
You
gonna be
didn't
my,
leave
All of them?
that's gonna be my win for next week.
You bought them all?
Not all.
So you left some behind?
Yeah.
Oh my
Why
god!
did you leave them
What's there
behind?
Holy!
A
The
good
ones
soldier
that weren't
never
priced
even-
right.
What?
Yeah, but
No,
it's
but
no
the rule-
vintage left behind, though.
You're supposed to not leave any behind.
Yeah.
Whose mantra is that?
Everybody.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
That's the episode.
No one cares.
Exactly. No, actually, I think Brandon cares. I think if he goes into the store, if he sees that Bossk and it's only this one little Bossk and it's like $14 for some like rubbed up freaking Bossk, he'll buy it just to not leave it behind.
So that's funny because you weren't there during the wins and whiffs, but I did buy a beater Bossk that I did not leave behind.
But there was a reason behind it.
There was a reason. So the guy had a full box full of Star Wars figures, all beaters, incomplete. They were all $20 a piece.
Oh my
Right?
god.
Let's say there's 20 figures in there, but I bought one of them for $10 because I was like, hey, how about this one for $10? He said, oh yeah, sure, whatever. It was a custom Bossk with like blood and gore on it and a zombie looking boss. So I was like, well, this is pretty cool. So I bought that one, but I left all the rest behind.
You didn't care?
Not one bit.
You didn't feel bad?
I feel like the no vintage left behind is part of a cult that some other group likes to tell everyone what to do.
Well, one of the big aspects of this that we were interested in dissecting and talking about was where is the delineation? Where's the line? There is a line. I take that, and the way that I've seen people use it is, it's not an absolute. It's if you're in Goodwill and you see a little bag of toys and there's 7 figures in there, but you see a stormtrooper or a Luke Skywalker, and the bag of the bag of figures is $12. You're buying it because there's a vintage figure in there. That's kind of how I take it. Like you're somewhere where you come across one and it's like, it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm going to buy that because it's worth money and I can sell it. It's a matter of like, oh, like that's a fair price and it's sitting there. Yeah, like I'm gonna buy that.
You said price. So if that bag of figures was $35, then you probably wouldn't.
Are you buying it?
Right. That's why I'm saying I think there is certainly a break, a limit. I think it's really a statement geared towards a fair price or even a cheap price. Like it's not a like, oh, I walked into this, high-end antique shop and he's got a stormtrooper and it's $65. That's not what the statement is for. I think it's for like you come across one, even if you're not looking to buy one, you don't need it, you buy it because it's vintage. That's how I take it.
But I have seen posts where people were like, I was in the local toy shop or I was in the local comic shop and they had this beater Luke Skywalker and I had to get him because no vintage left behind.
No vintage left behind.
I have seen that. And I don't know what that whole story is. I don't know if it's like a look at me or if it's I'm better than you because I don't.
I think they're just trying to save the figure from hey, I found this figure and I bought it, but they never reveal the price.
That's true too.
So why don't we just end it?
Yeah.
It's dead.
Put an end to it.
The only
That's
time
it.
I can see maybe doing something
55
like
burgers,
that,
55 fries.
maybe overpaying
What the hell is that?
slightly
I don't know.
is if you're in like a different country or something and you run across like a POC figure somewhere and you're like, wow, this is pretty cool, and you buy it because it's like a souvenir from your trip and it's slightly overpriced, so you overpay for it. Like I could see maybe picking that up.
PvP.
I don't know, something weird like that.
So I'm gonna nix this whole thing right now. John owns a store, right?
Yeah.
He has vintage Star Wars inside. Everybody who shops in that store, if they don't buy all the vintage Star Wars, they're leaving them all behind. So
Right.
John knows all the people who have walked through his store.
Adam
They've looked
Gofford.
at it,
Sorry,
and
Adam.
they've just left them all to die.
Adam.
No,
And-
I think
Right.
I think these people are different though.
I have to say that there are some people that we know who collect vintage Star Wars who have come in my store and left every piece behind
They've left them behind.
except the one
Oh
that they
my
wanted,
god!
or the 2 or the 5 or whatever.
The whole saying really is just dumb. No vintage left behind. What exactly does that mean? So we're supposed to buy every like single vintage Star Wars piece we ever see?
I don't know. Ask the people that are not leaving them behind.
Yeah, so for everybody who's watching this video, we want to hear in the comments here on YouTube. If you're listening in your car, come on over to YouTube. We want to hear what your interpretation is of no vintage left behind.
I think Shane, you're correct. I think context is everything here, and where you find the figures. Obviously, you're not going to walk into a vintage toy store and buy everything because no vintage left behind.
Right.
But if you find one in a Goodwill or in a thrift store and it's a decent price, then I can see that.
I'm gonna go on the opposite side. I will shake your hand if you leave them behind. You should leave them behind. Why would you overpay for a figure? Leave them there.
Stupid.
Walk over to me. I shake your hand, and you leave. Leave them there.
This Klaatu with no skirt was sitting over there on the counter at this this pawn shop or this antique shop, and they wanted $65. But you know what? No vintage left behind.
No, that's just not it. I'm going to take a second to remind everybody we're now on Patreon. So please head over to patreon.com/5idiotstalkingtoys. The link is in the description of this video on YouTube. Please support the show. If you enjoy the content that we're making, it will absolutely enable us to continue making more fun content. We're doing this as a hobby. This will be great to support the show and help us
it's a job
to put out this beautiful, super produced content.
We're not going to leave our patrons behind either.
When I go
into
a store, and if a Klaatu is $65 completely butt naked, I'm going to wear this shirt and go to the owner and go, not today.
Not today.
What was that? What was that word from like an episode ago? Like, golly gee. What was that?
Oh, yippee
doo!
Yippee doo.
There is definitely context here, guys. We're talking about the phrase is really you're at a flea market and you see a big box of old toys or mixed modern toys, whatever.
Yes.
You dig through there and you see a vintage Star Wars figure,
and you're buying it.
It's in a box. Yes. How much could it possibly be? It's in a box. But that's the thing is that's the kind of sentiment. It's either, hey, I see somebody who's selling toys because I'm at XYZ event, or a shop or whatever, secondhand shop. I rifle through the box, I find one, boom, vintage, awesome. Or you're just somewhere where it's reasonable price, and you're like, it's out of place. It's not really it's not in a case like John's shop with 17 other vintage figures right next to it. It's just a random thing.
I was driving to the gym a few weeks ago, and there was a garage sale going on a few blocks from my house. And I haven't been to a garage sale, honestly, in about 19 years. So when I saw one happening, I was like, you know what? It's like 3 blocks from my house. And then there was one directly across the street. I'm like, let me just park my car and let me see if I can find any vintage Star Wars. Now,
I love a
obviously,
garage sale.
I
love
didn't
a garage
find
sale.
I didn't find anything. But going into it, my thinking was if I see anything, even if it was priced fairly or right where it should be, I was going to buy it. I don't need it, but I was going to buy it.
Yeah.
Most of the posts I see is like it's a Luke Stormtrooper with a solid black blaster, and they're like, "No vintage left behind." I paid $85 for it. Like,
no, I don't know.
That's not no vintage left behind. That's you ripped the person off and you got it for cheap. Like,
How did I
the
do?
mantra. They just used the mantra, "No vintage left behind." It has nothing to do with it.
How did I do?
Yeah, we'll have to stay tuned for that one. We'll have to have a whole episode on how did I do.
We're not. Yeah. How did I do? Is a whole nother episode.
I know.
How did I do?
My
No,
hand
that's-
was shaking.
Oh, the hands.
We
are
should
always
actually-
shaking.
John, mark this down.
Wait, hang on. Let me find a pen.
He's got a pen. Take your time, John. Guy's whittling himself a pencil out of beechwood over there.
We should do an episode on how did I do.
On how
We're just gonna name it. How did I do?
We already did that.
did
How did I do?
Yeah.
No, we never. We
How
never
did the
labeled
episode-
an
Might have been-
episode, How did
might
I
have been
do?
a pet peeve.
How did the episode do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we
I think it
definitely
might have
need to
been
do
a
another
pet
pet peeve.
I just
How
wanted
did you
John
do?
to like the pen. That's it.
You
Pet
know
peeves
exactly,
part 3,
you know
John.
exactly how you did.
Yeah.
Stop asking.
All right, so that's kind of how I interpret it. You know, you guys are taking it a little bit more literally, but I really do think it's, hey, I randomly came across some vintage Star Wars. I don't need this piece, but geez, it was only, $8 or $12, and I'm a vintage collector, so hey, no vintage left behind. It was a reasonable price. And I grabbed it because, hey, either I know somebody else who will need it, or I could sell it on the page, or I'll just add it to my shelf, whatever.
But here's my thing: most people use it as like a moral declaration. You know what I'm saying?
John, when you
No
use
one
these
knows-
big words around
No
us
one knows what
four,
that means.
you need to like moral declaration. Use something like lower, like
Yeah, like
our
Charles
language.
can't even Charles can't
What?
even pronounce it.
More, I know Charles can't even pronounce it. Most people use it.
The Declaration of Independence.
Most people use it as like, hey, look, I'm holier than thou. I actually saved this vintage toy from certain destruction.
I didn't leave it behind.
That only
I guess,
happens.
I guess there's a little tinge of that.
That only happens on one group on Facebook, and that's it.
This is what
Which
this
group
is.
is that?
Listen, pipe down.
I get more of the moral declination on when you're talking about how did I do.
Brandon, are you
Oh,
talking
yeah.
from inside the toilet bowl?
Listen,
Jesus Christ.
the more that's the acoustics. That's the acoustics of the Motel 7.
He's literally inside the bathtub. His face is in the toilet bowl, and that's why I was talking.
It's
Oh,
a Motel 5 because a Motel
Motel 5 and a
7
half.
would be higher than a Motel 6.
I think it's isn't it a Super 8?
He's in a lower one.
Right.
You sound much better now, though. By the way,
I'm in a Super 7.
7.
so it's not a real hotel. Then it's a reaction to a hotel.
It's a Funko reaction hotel.
Well, he's in a motel. I can already tell, and I'm not investigating this because of the air conditioner is in the wall.
I saw
That, but that is the front of his room. So he is in a motel.
I'll show you
Oh.
pictures tomorrow. I'll send you pictures of the.
Yeah, but for all you know, he booked a suite or something. Like maybe that's like he's
No.
got
Oh,
the,
there
the
ain't any suite there.
Cadillac of Motel 7
My
rooms.
Shane.
next stop is like in 3 hours, and we're not going to push it any further. So that's why we're here.
He
Shane,
rented
if you
that
remember-
motel room just to take a crap. Like
The
it's that
first
kind of deal.
time, the first time you met Brandon, he said he was sleeping in a hotel, and he was literally sleeping behind a dumpster behind ICC.
The 7-Eleven. Yeah.
I was eating the leftover crab legs.
Yeah.
We asked him to go to the Waffle House with us, and he's like, "No, I just had to pull some croissants out of the dumpster."
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I got to go back to the Waffle House. I was just sleeping there."
I just woke up there.
We were gonna drop him off, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have to bring me back to the hotel. Just bring me right to the gas station right here."
Well,
I just
how does that
gotta
make
get
sense?
something.
what's funny is that the hotel was literally behind the Waffle House that we ate at.
Yeah. He was sleeping behind a Stewart's root beer or something like that. Yeah. Well, another aspect of this, I don't know about the moral declaration, but the another aspect of this is I think it's just that for the average, serious vintage collector or the regular person who's on the groups and enjoys interacting, I think they're so excited to find something vintage in the wild. It's almost a little crossover into the wild find. And I mean the legit, like true, not fake wild find. If I'm out and I'm come across some vintage Star Wars where I'm not expecting it, I would be really surprised because it's not that often that you see that stuff. So I would buy it if it was a fair price. It's a little bit of that, about being surprised and excited that you found something that you collect that you don't see regularly outside of, your house and in regular places that you go. So it's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
If I'm out,
You need to find a group of friends
and I see it, I'm 100%
And make a podcast?
buying it.
Yeah.
Make a podcast.
Do what, Chris?
I said if I'm out and I find vintage Star Wars and it's priced like good and below, I'm 100% buying it no matter what. Whether I need it or not, I'm
and
buying
that's it. Yes, that fits exactly into what this topic is, because you don't necessarily need that. Now, forget about the fact that you're, a seller.
No,
if
but
you're just a collector, you don't need that, but you see it and it's a decent price, you grab it.
If the item is worth $10 and it's selling for $10, I will buy it for $10 and I'll still sell for $10 on the page.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it would be better on the page than there is sitting on a boardwalk in, Jersey.
Right. It's better
I would just leave it there. Why buy it and have to bring it home so I can sell it for the same price? So
because you're just amazed by the fact that you found it in the middle of like nowhere.
Did those figures were those figures like repoed from the Jersey Shore people? Is that how they ended up there?
Yes, I bought the Stitch
from Paulie D.
The Stitch.
Did Paulie D leave his figures there?
Paulie D comes with 2 wigs. You take his hair off and his hair comes on.
Snooky lost him in the bar bet.
Christopher loves hanging out in New Jersey. Every chance he gets to leave Long Island and hang out in New Jersey for like multiple days, he loves it.
You have to look further into it, though. You're looking at it from the outside.
Yes.
You have to go in a little bit, pull the curtains, look in.
Show him, Charles.
You know what I see?
Show him.
I see the Borgata. I see a casino.
He loves it.
That's where he's sleeping.
So I get a free suite at the Borgata usually 2 nights every time I go. So
High roller.
Wildwood is like 40 minutes away, 35 minutes away or so. So we go to the Borgata, we sleep there, it's free, and then we go to Wildwood, for the day. But then at nighttime, it's like 8:00. I have 2 really young kids. The wife is pregnant. They all go to bed. What do? I'm downstairs at the bar drinking, throwing dice.
He's out in the back alley with the wait staff throwing dice in the alley.
I'm pulling the slot machine. Next minute, it's like 2:00 in the morning, and I come rolling upstairs, and my wife was like, "Really? 2:00? You just come upstairs now?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh my God, I go to bed at 2:00 regularly.
No vintage left behind, Shane.
No. Well, I was just going to say that. You know what's analogous to the no vintage left behind? People say that, and that they're trying to be high and mighty and show off how they found something. Chris goes to his wife, "Hey, let's go to Wildwood. It's so fun for the kids. There's so much for them to do there. It's so close to Ace. There's so much to do there." And then he's down at the craps tables.
And
is this the casino?
And she falls for it every time. It's been 5 years running.
Why do you take your family there?
Well, Wildwood is a shore town way down South Jersey, close to AC. And it's a legit, like, they have like rides on the boardwalk. It's like a full legit boardwalk
Here's what it is,
short
Brandon.
town.
As you're walking through, there's one old lady pulling a slot machine. One guy is like, another guy is like,
Yeah.
yeah, Chris walking around with
Chris.
kids like,
No,
everything's good over here.
No. So
Two words.
just to let you know,
2 free nights.
we go to the
Sweet.
Borgata. There's 2 towers. It's the Borgata, and then the other one's called the Water Club, which is now the MGM Tower. We stay at the MGM Tower. It's no smoking. I do valet. My kids don't step foot inside the casino. They go right upstairs to the room and right outside. That's it.
And you
I do
lock
not
them in.
allow them in there because it's smoking everywhere and it's filthy.
It's disgusting.
Only I belong in there because I'm filthy and disgusting.
I haven't been down there in a little while, but the last time I was at Harrahs, we like to go to Harrahs for a little while because they have the indoor pool. So we would go in the winter so that we could go to the pool. And you walk in there, and it was around the time where they were like making sections, like, oh, the smoking section is here.
It's so stupid.
I walk in, the whole place is covered in smoke.
Yeah.
Everything stinks. I'm in the non-smoking section. I can't even breathe. The whole thing's a joke.
This has nothing to do with the actual episode, but during COVID, there was no smoking anywhere in the casino, and that's what got us started going there because it was no smoking everywhere. So then I would bring my kids downstairs. Once they brought smoking back, I refused to bring them inside of a casino. I just won't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, and they're illegal in the casino, so.
No, they're allowed to walk through
they can walk through.
Yeah, you can walk through, but sticky fingers.
Pull the lever on the slot, Grayson.
Sir, he's not allowed to touch that arm.
Go get Daddy a drink.
Don't mind that guy over there.
Falling out of his seat, yeah. All right, guys, before we wrap up this episode, I think we covered our topic decently.
Did we?
John, you were at Farley Khan this past weekend.
Yeah.
As a vendor. So let's just get a couple of minutes. I wanted to get your feedback on how the show went. Farley Khan is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Is that correct?
Right. It's in East Ridge, Tennessee, which is just like right outside of Chattanooga. It's kind of a little suburb. But it was at the Camp Jordan Arena, and Rocky is the guy who puts it on every year. And it's basically a fundraiser.
Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky. Yeah.
Yeah, Rocky. I can't remember his last name. So Rocky's the guy that puts it on, and it's a fundraiser for a guy there was a bunch of collector friends that collected comics, and they were, they grew up together, and he passed away a few years ago, and they started this foundation to help with to raise money for this charity. And I believe it was like some kind of heart disease, like really specific heart disease. And so it raises money. And there were a lot of charity events that went on this weekend, and it was really cool. I picked up, I'm going to sound like Brandon, I picked up some autographs at an auction.
Oh, God.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the auction was to send deaf kids to camp for a deaf camp. And that was pretty cool. They auctioned off a solo poster, and it was signed by 9 people, including like Ron Howard. What's his name? Childish Gambino. What's his name?
Mm-hmm.
Who was Ron Howard?
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Yeah, Donald Glover. Yeah. The guy who played Han Solo. Can't remember who that was. And several other people who signed this poster.
It's like Adrian Eichenbacher or something
like that. Yeah.
No, it's Alden Heimlichs or something like that.
Yeah. He was honestly
I'm a
really
beautiful butterfly.
I thought he was great. Somebody posted about Solo just this past week in one of the groups, and I chimed in because I really do love that movie. I think it's so good.
Oh my God, you're probably the only person that's ever said that before.
No, I've seen so many people post and comment that they like the movie.
I've never seen it.
So John, did you get the poster or what?
I loved it, but it's not that good.
Yeah. No, Haley and I were like, okay, we're going to split it, right?
Yeah.
We're sitting in the auction, and I said, okay, if it goes to this amount, we'll we'll, that's the most we're going to do. And the first bid was what we said we would would be our max.
You're probably better off. Honestly, you're probably better off because a lot of times those things are heavily faked.
Yeah. Well, it had the Disney certification, and it also had like the whatever, the lanyard with the identification card.
Those are like notorious for being faked.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just like a goodwill kind of thing.
Those are like
throw people off.
You find them on eBay all the time. They're like, oh, I was at the premiere, and here's the premiere pass, and here's the little hologram on the back. And it was signed by the production company. Got it signed like 99 times out of 100. They're usually fake.
Yeah. Okay.
Did the Khaleesi sign that poster?
Khaleesi.
No.
But Tim McGraw's guitar, an autographed guitar from Tim McGraw, went for $105. Yeah, everybody's waiting for the solo poster.
Wait, is he the guy? Is he the guy who was the
I'm an Indian outlaw.
No, listen.
Half Cherokee and Choctaw.
Oh God.
My baby is a Chippewa.
All right.
John,
thank you all for tuning in.
John, we don't know his music. I was just going to ask you: is that the guy who's the star?
The country. Shh.
I do. I
You do?
country.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
I love
God.
country.
Is he the guy who's the star of 1883?
I don't know. He's married to Faith Hill.
Yes, that's him.
Yes.
We just yes. So 1883 is a prequel to Yellowstone, and my wife and I just finished it. And him and his wife are the stars of the show.
Yellowstone.
Phenomenal.
You got to watch that. That's been on my list.
1883 is phenomenal, and it's
Just reminded me.
standalone. Like you don't even need to know Yellowstone to watch it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's also.
It's about the Oregon Trail. They take the Oregon Trail, and it's like legit story. It's awesome.
Yeah. He's also the dad in. What's
Does
that
he
movie
die?
about the
Does
football
he die
player?
of syphilis at the end, like the character in the computer game?
You have to watch to find out, but it is a really good show for anybody who, if you watch Yellowstone, you definitely need to see 1883. But even if you don't, it's a standalone show.
Anyway,
awesome.
Back to Farley Khan.
Yeah, just tell us how your booth was. That's what we want to know. We want to know.
We had a really good day yesterday. Not a whole lot of people were buying vintage Star Wars. We had a couple of big pops. We sold an AT-AT, we sold a Millennium Falcon, and most people were buying. A lot. It was really cool to see a lot of people buying a lot of the variety stuff because we set it up like a miniature store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I know Chris is laughing, but.
You didn't see that?
Huh?
You didn't see that?
No, what? What I miss?
Only I saw that?
What did Charles do?
How did you do that, Charles, anyway?
I missed it. I'll have to watch it back in the playback.
Okay.
Anyway, so a lot of people were buying the variety stuff, so that was pretty cool. And then of course, we sold a bunch of Funko Pops and stuff like that. The first day yesterday was really good, and I think this is either the first or second year that they've gone 2 days, and the second day wasn't the greatest. But you live and you learn.
You are in the Bible Belt where people are not going to be heading over there.
Right. Right. Yeah. We thought maybe after church and after lunch they would come, and there was a pretty big. Most of the people. Here's the thing, though, with these conventions, and that we've noticed before on ourselves. If we went and it was just a toy show, we'd make so much more money. But when we go to these conventions, Farley Khan is like a pop culture exposition. So they have artists signing autographs, they have voiceover actors signing autographs, they have wrestlers signing autographs, they have actors signing autographs, they have comic books, they have cosplay, they have toys, and it is good because they get a lot of people there, a huge cross section of people, but then like maybe 1/3 of the people that come to this are there for toys.
Yeah,
right.
It's the same thing with any con.
With any con, just about. So we're planning on going to a toy show in October, like straight up just a toy show.
Yeah.
And it's 1 day, and
So what was your takeaway from it? It's very fresh in your mind, but was it a ton of work? Was it worth it? You know, what
It was a lot of work. It was worth it. I thought it was totally worth it. A lot of work because there was some back end stuff that we had to do for the past week and a half that we just, being piled up with, I've got a job and we've got the store and the back end stuff we had to do when we had the chance to do it. And now most of that back end stuff is done. So the next time that there's a show, like a toy show or something, we can. Should I look at my text? Or no, this is a private text between you two, right? No.
Pass that Romex.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the people that don't know,
anyway.
John does have a job, like he said. And when he's laying new electric lines, he's got the saw going,
Pass that Romex.
He sends us voice messages, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm on the site. I'm on the building site. I got all my electrical equipment." And we hear, "What is going on over there?"
There's all sorts of other stuff that goes on too, but like sighting guys and stuff like that. Anyway, so all the back end stuff is done now. So when we go to the next show, we'll have less work to prepare.
Nice.
But
All right.
so yeah, and I guess it was good to network because a lot of people came through that were local that had never heard of us before.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, to get your name out there. Yeah, for the shop.
Adam Gothard came and he helped this weekend.
Who is that?
Adam Gothard.
Did he leave Vintage behind?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Who's Adam Gothard?
You know Adam Gothard. So
What's up, Adam?
That's John's best friend.
He's now he's Owen's best friend apparently.
Wow.
Oh.
So yeah, he came and helped. He was a huge help, and he plugged the store while people came through and
Nice.
He was like shaking hands and handing out cards and stickers.
He was your hype man.
He was definitely the hype man.
Yeah, he was the Flavor Flav of the vault. Right.
Yeah, and he helped us out a lot. So it was really good. Thank you, Adam, for doing that. We appreciate it. But yeah, it was a good weekend. We'd do it again. I'm sure we will next year because it's local,
Yeah.
And it's a good place to network and find new customers. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you make a good point. It's definitely worth it if it's local to get your name for the shop out there. It's still a new venture for you. When is the 1 year anniversary? Is it coming up soon?
October 22nd.
Wow. All right. We're gonna do a big blowout for that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think we're gonna wrap it here. Thank you very much for watching this episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. It's a podcast on YouTube as well as your favorite podcast app. Every Sunday episode is there. But on Wednesdays, we have our wins and whiffs of the week, where we share our collectibles and our disaster stories with you only on YouTube. It's a visual show. You can support the show by going to our merch shop or to Patreon and become a Patreon member there. There's going to be some benefits for you, some pre-sales, some early access to content. We appreciate all the support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and we will see you next time on 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Love Crunch?
Oh, God.
How did we get through the whole episode and not talk about that?